Welcome back. Brendan Fraser's portrayal of a morbidly obese recluse in the film The Whale has earned him an Oscar nomination. He's spoken out about society's treatment of overweight people, calling for the need to stop the bias against those with obesity. But in an age where the world is in the grip of an obesity epidemic, not least which in this country, is this whole notion of body positivity making the problem worse? I'm joined now by great British menu star Tom Kerridge, who famously lost 12 stone and looking in magnificent shape. You work out every day, you were just telling me.
I do. I try to work out every day in different things. So when I first lost a load of weight, it was through cardiovascular stuff. So I swam. So I used to swim a mile every day.
And how big were you at your biggest?
Oh, I was over 30 stone.
30 stone?
Yeah.
Now, in that moment, what was the trigger for you actually saying, I've really got to do something about this?
Age. So there's a point where you get to... So I was approaching my 40th birthday. And I think that's always a point of reflection, isn't it? I think when you get to 40, I mean, I know it's not that long ago for you, Piers, but you get to that point where you just think, what have I achieved? What have I come to? And where am I going? So I think there's a point, 40 is always a real kind of a testing point for many people. For me, it was, okay, what have I achieved? What am I doing? Career-wise, it was all going great. The restaurants were fantastic. The pub was great. The recognition was good. We were doing stuff on the telly. So there wasn't a health scare, which I'm sure there would have been at some point. There was no conversation.
Were mates of yours or family or viewers, whoever it may be, were people making comments to you that made you think, you know what, about your weight, about your size? Were people, was that part of it as well?
No, none of it. It was all self-conscious. So the thing about anything that you have to do, whether it's losing weight, whether it's an issue with addiction, whether it's giving up smoking, whether it's alcohol, whether it's gambling, whatever it is, whatever it's part of your life, none of us are stupid. We all know it's bad for you. If you eat loads of Mars bars every day, you know you're going to be in a bad space. If you drink too much, it's about self-responsibility. So a lot of it comes to, you know, what am I going to do to change the bad habits?
Well, my issue with the debate is that obesity rates we know are just going through the roof all around Europe, actually, but particularly in this country, where it's shocking, and America. And I see people, for example, I remember a while ago, a model in America, she was a plus-size model called Tess Holliday. She appeared on the cover of Cosmopolitan magazine here. She was over 300 pounds and about 5 foot tall. And there wasn't a single word in the whole piece which did anything other than celebrate her supposed body positivity. I felt that was incredibly harmful in terms of making people think this is actually a positive thing. That's morbid obesity. That's going to kill someone.
So I think the positivity, that's a mindset. Yes, okay, I think if you're morbidly obese, I mean, the word morbid in front of it, it's something, it's frightening, and it's something that you have to reflect on yourself. But then at the same point...
But my point is, does fat shaming, if you know, when I put on a bit too much timber, I can absolutely rely on one of my sons who are all pretty fit, or my brothers, who are not as fit, actually, but like to dig it out. What the first thing they'll do is say, God, you put some timber on, right? And that will always make me go back to the gym. Right? Yeah. In other words, I believe that a bit of fat shaming goes quite a long way in making you think, actually, really? OK, I better do something about it.
Well, not all of us are in the same fortunate position as just me and you, where we can go to a gym. We have a gym that we can go to that we're members of.
You go running?
Yeah, but we all know that if it's not something that you actually enjoy doing, it's not something that you're going to continue to do. So the exercise that you need to do, the way that you can do it, is by finding something that you enjoy doing.
Do you think fat shaming is wrong?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is about education. A lot of it comes down to education. A lot of it comes down to poverty. And if you think of the majority of places where you'll find that most people are morbidly obese are places where they come from economically challenged areas, where the foods that they can afford are down that process line. So a lot of it will come down to food poverty. So it's not necessarily about eating too much. It's about eating the wrong foods. And the problem with those wrong foods are processed foods that are saturated fat, high in sugars. They lead to what you think is those processed carbohydrates fill you up, but they don't last very long. So you eat more, and you get into this very vicious circle. And it's not about fresh vegetables. It's not about, and that's also a food education point of view.
You gave up alcohol completely.
I did, yeah. I stopped drinking.
How big a factor do you think in your dramatic weight loss was just killing the booze?
Oh, massive. So I have an issue with alcohol. So that first and foremost, that was a big part of giving up and losing weight, was an issue with alcohol. But also, even if you're a mild drinker or someone who just drinks at a weekend, alcohol changes your mindset. So it does lead you to go and I'll have cheese on toast, or I'll go for that curry, or I'll have that kebab.
No question.
So it's not just about the lost calories or the weight that you could put on from alcohol and the sugars that are in it. It's actually from the mindset that changes. And
See, I'm on a bit of a health kick at the moment. So I've had barely any alcohol in 5 weeks, eating very healthily, going to the gym 2 or 3 times a week, Peloton the other days, right? And I'm getting quite fit again, as I have done sporadically, but there's always a moment when I'm going to hit that wall when you just slightly lose that steely self-discipline streak. You came through that.
Yeah.
And most people don't, especially in dry January and so on. What's your advice to people to breaking through the wall?
There's a mindset, but it's very, very different when both me and you now are in that point of middle age where you're struggling every day and you're trying to find that balance between everything. Where if you're morbidly obese, at the point where I was well over 30 stone, you're then at a point that your life is so unbalanced, it's completely out of control, that one thing is you have to unbalance it completely the other way. So you have to remove, whether it's carbohydrates or sugars or lower calories and alcohol, and it becomes unbalanced the other way. If you have a relatively balanced diet, which sounds like you have now, and you go up and down, and you're kind of in control of it like everybody else, and that's okay. What you do is okay, you know. But it is that point where you do find yourself that you are overweight. It is a structured mindset, and most of it does come down to finding food.
But I would say the most motivational thing in my life over the years about losing weight was actually reading Ali Ross's TV column in The Sun, where this pasty-faced little from Aberdeen would regularly torment me for being fat. Now, I thought he was right. So it made me get fit. So I think there's an example where being fat-shamed actually can help. It just cuts through all the crap. It's
that works for you.
You are too fat.
That works for you, but there's many people, you don't know their situations, you don't know where they're at, you don't know why their mindset is like that. And the only way that you're ever going to lose weight, or you're only going to do that, is if you can do it yourself.
True.
You have to do it yourself. And somebody telling you, you already know you're fat. You have a shower every day or a bath, and you get out and you see yourself in a mirror, right? You know you're overweight. It's actually going.
And currently, I'm seeing a lean, mean fighting machine.
Exactly,
obviously.
that six-pack is shining through.
Thank
but
you,
it is
Tom.
going to be that point where you have to make that decision, and it can only come down to that. It doesn't matter how many people tell you. In fact, that could probably make it worse. If you have some form of insecurity and somebody's telling you, you comfort eat. If you're comfort eating anyway, and then you're constantly getting told that, it can only lead to worse.
Tom, I'm going to leave it there. I want to talk to you again another time about pubs, because I was brought up in a pub, and I share your passion for pubs, and there's a war on pubs, as we know, a lot of them going under. So we'll do another debate on that another time, but it's great to talk to you about this. It's a really big issue. There's a lot of people out there at the moment doing this dry January, doing veganuary, which I'd rather shoot myself than do. And you're a prime example of how you can do it. So congratulations.
Thank you, young man. Cheers, Chief.